Mother cat against the odds, incredible kitten rescue from a trap. That evening started out just like any other. Sunset was just starting to fall when Alexei, an on-duty emergency rescuer, suddenly heard an urgent call through his headset. In one of the city's old neighborhoods, where some buildings had recently been torn down, people passing by heard strange sounds that sent chills down their spines. At the old abandoned warehouse, people noticed some persistent and pitiful meowing, and it was impossible to figure out where it was coming from. It echoed through the empty back alleys. Alexei and his crew rushed to the call right away, because in emergencies every second can mean the difference between life and death. At the burnt-out walls of the warehouse, they met a woman who looked pale and was clutching her chest. It turned out she was Katya, a well-known local with a kind heart and a real love for animals. She was the first to understand what was really happening. There were not just stray cats stuck in the ruins, but a whole family, and the mother cat was desperately trying to get her kittens out, calling for help non-stop. Every time the cat meowed, Katya felt it right in her heart. She just couldn't leave, no matter how sensible it seemed. Alexei asked, "Where did you hear the last sounds?" And Katya confidently led him to the far corner, where the wall seemed to be boarded up. If you listened really close, you could catch the short, scared squeaks coming from inside. Suddenly, a cat rushed up to Katya. She was super skinny with huge eyes that showed both despair and hope. Pushing through her fear, the cat ran straight to the rescuers, as if begging for help. She rushed up and down along the blocked wall, scratching the boards and arching her back, looking like she was about to literally speak out loud. The rescuers paused for a second. They couldn't just break the boards without thinking, or it could all collapse. Nerves ran high in the whole group. Were tough rescue missions easy for them? No, but when it came to animals, their hearts couldn't stay indifferent. They watched the mother cat, her courage, her determination, her trust in people. She never left their side, guiding them around the ruins again and again, as if saying, "Here. Look, feel that." Katya's eyes filled with tears. Alexei pulled out his flashlight and tried to peek through the boards. Suddenly the light caught a pair of tiny eyes, one kitten, then another, then a third. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. The kittens were so close, but one wrong move could mean disaster. It was honestly scary to see, tiny little furballs stuck between broken beams and bricks, crying for their mom and not understanding why they couldn't get out. Time was ticking by. The team was searching for a way to get inside without hurting the kittens or their mom. At that moment, it felt like the mother cat herself had become a part of the rescue team. She could barely stand, but she kept trying to show the rescuers the way, not afraid of anything. But Katya's anxiety just kept growing. Would they be able to save everyone? Was it already too late? Why did this family of cats end up trapped, here in this forgotten corner? Nobody knew what would happen next, but the whole team understood. This wasn't just a rescue, it was a real battle for life. What would happen now? Would they and the mother cat be able to save all the kittens together? Or would the rest of this night bring new challenges? As the last rays of sun disappeared behind the horizon, the cool air filled with tension and anticipation. With the darkness came the clear realization, there wasn't much time left, and the rescue mission was only getting harder every minute. Alexei, his team, and Katya gathered under the bright light of a big flashlight by the ruins. The cat, never taking her eyes off her babies, kept meowing anxiously again and again, almost like she was telling them to hurry. Alexei quickly contacted the main rescue center. "It's a tough situation. We need extra equipment." They brought out a small inspection camera with a flexible cord from the truck. Taking a deep breath, Alexei carefully slipped it through the boards. The blurry image showed tiny figures, scared and huddling close together. There were 3 visible, but the sounds suggested there was still someone else in there. The mom was rushing around, running between a hole in the board and Alexei, as if to say, "Hurry, they can't last much longer." While one of the young rescuers looked for a different way in, Alexei kept checking every inch of the walls from outside. All the while, Katya stayed next to the cat, petting her gently, trying to calm her shivering fur. "Hang on, sweetie, just a little longer." Suddenly, behind a pile of bricks, rescuer Evgeny found an old trapdoor partially buried in the floor of the warehouse. They decided to take the risk. Maybe there was a passage under the floor. Using a crowbar, the rescuers finally managed to pry open the rusty cover. A blast of cold and dust came up from below, but they could clearly hear faint kitten cries coming from under their feet. Even the mother cat, sniffing out the familiar scent, jumped onto the edge and looked into the gap with a sad, worried gaze. "You're leading us, aren't you?" Katya whispered. "We'll follow." Carefully climbing down a creaky ladder, Alexei and Evgeny crawled through cobwebs and rubble. The beam from their flashlight caught a wall. There, they heard frantic squeaking from the other side, but there wasn't a single hole in sight. Every second counted now. Above them, Katya prayed, her throat tight with worry, and the cat ran circles across the floor, scratching at boards as if trying to give them a hint. That's when Alexei realized, only together with the mother cat would they be able to find the right spot. He told the team to bring her down too. Katya gently picked her up, whispered lonely words of encouragement, and went down with her. Down in the crawl space, the mother cat froze, listened, and then confidently walked along the wall, her long whiskers twitching. Suddenly, she stopped, pressed her nose to the floor, and began digging fiercely with her claws. There was a tiny gap behind one of the boards, almost impossible to see. The kittens were very, very close. Katya's heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. Her hands were shaking, but she knew she couldn't lose her nerve now. All their attention was on the mother cat, only she really knew the way to her babies. They started to carefully clear away the debris. Every minute felt like an eternity. Suddenly, one of the rescuers heard a timid meow coming from right up against the wall, right behind a thin wooden divider. Everyone held their breath, then started carefully prying away the old boards. Finally, a tiny, dirty, trembling kitten broke through into the light. Then came another, a brother, and then a little sister right after. But there was no time to relax. The camera caught a glimpse of another little ball of fur. Were there even more than they thought? Katya and Alexei exchanged worried looks. Were all the kittens truly safe, or was there still one more little life out there, waiting for help? The search had to go on. Where could the last one be? Could they and this brave mother cat find and rescue all of them? Or were there still more hidden dangers in those collapsing ruins? The hardest part was still ahead. In this underground maze, every sound echoed faintly, and a tiny kitten could be stuck in the smallest, hardest to reach crack. It seemed like the worst was over. 3 kittens were now safe in the rescuer's arms, their fuzzy bodies shaking as they snuggled close to Katya, nuzzling her hands as if searching for warmth and comfort. The rescuers gently wrapped the kittens in a towel to help them warm up after all those hours in the damp and dark. Katya was almost speechless with emotion, but the relief still wouldn't come, because the camera, poked into a far corner, showed another faint blur of movement. "Maybe it's just a trick of the light," Evgeny whispered, sighing and wiping dust from his forehead. But at that very moment, the mother cat broke free from Katya's gentle hands and darted straight back toward the gap in the rubble. She called out. A long, worried meow scratched at the floor, and pressed herself up against the bricks, as if to say, "I know he's there." Katya tried to hold her back so she wouldn't hurt herself, but the cat wriggled free. Her determination seemed almost human. Alexei saw her whiskers and fur trembling with intensity, and her eyes stared at him, full of desperate pleading. "It has to be," Alexei muttered. "If she's acting like this, the 4th kitten must be in there somewhere." A tense silence fell in the crawl space. Dust danced in the beam of their flashlight. Outside night had fallen completely. And then, from beneath one of the boards, came a barely there squeak. Everyone froze. A fresh wave of anxiety flooded the little rescue team. There was still a kitten, and maybe this one was even weaker. Now they were up against not only the old warehouse's crumbling wood and stone, but also their own fears. Everything around them seemed dangerous and unstable, the cracks in the walls, the rotting boards, the smell of damp and rust. One wrong move might trigger a collapse. Nobody suggested backing down. The mother cat crouched by the wall, softly meowing, as if begging the humans to hurry. Time dragged. Each move with the crowbar sent a shiver down everyone's spine. Images of the worst-case scenario flashed through their minds. What if the opening collapsed? What if something fell, and the tiny kitten got hurt or scared even more? But nothing was scarier than that little cry, so weak now, growing quieter, like a kitten running out of patience and strength. Then someone said, "Let's try to carefully remove the bricks by hand, one by one. And let the mother cat stay here, she'll guide us better than any equipment." Katya dropped to her knees, her hands still shaking, but she started to slowly and carefully clear away the debris, every chunk, every little piece. Alexei knelt beside her, lighting the process with his flashlight and whispering, "Don't be afraid, we're here with you. Hold on." It was like the mother cat could feel the strength of everyone working together. She stopped running around and just fixed her eyes on Katya, almost as if giving her a blessing with every move. A couple more bricks removed, and suddenly the cat darted straight to a narrow, almost invisible crack, guided by her instinct. Right at that spot, it was like fate held its breath. The sound of mewing became louder. Katya, with tears running down her face, saw a tiny, skinny kitten behind the board. He was stuck and couldn't get out. The mother cat rushed to the gap and started gently nudging her baby closer to the crack with her nose, like she was comforting him. Alexei carefully wedged his crowbar under the board, and miracle, the little one was finally free. When Katya gently lifted the last kitten into her hands, everyone felt a huge weight lift from their shoulders. The mother cat, shaking from exhaustion and relief, gave each of her babies a loving lick, like counting him, and then lightly rubbed her face against Katya's palm. But that moment of happiness didn't last long. The newly rescued family still faced the unknown, the cold of the street, blinding headlights, a crowd of strangers, and new dangers ahead. Would they find homes for the kittens? What surprises did the end of this night have in store? By dawn, as the first soft rays of sunlight came through the ruined warehouse walls, the rescuers finally climbed up to the surface. Katya, holding a bundle with all 4 rescued kittens in her arms, could barely hold back her tears. The fatigue, fear, and tension that filled the long night melted away into real happiness. It felt like spring itself was in the air. The sunrise never looked so hopeful. The mom cat, who seemed worn out and weak just the day before, suddenly looked transformed. Her eyes were full of warmth and light, every movement almost majestic. She went from kitten to kitten, gently feeling them with her paw as if to make sure everyone was there and safe. The kittens, still shivering, crawled across the blanket and buried their tiny faces in her fur, letting out soft, grateful purrs. She happily licked each one, a paw here, an ear there, then their still scared little backs. Sensing their mom's warmth and comfort, the kittens clung tightly to her, reaching up with the tiny paws. No one could hold back their emotions. The rescuers were amazed. How could something so fragile also be so strong and beautiful? Alexei wiped away a tear with the corner of his sleeve. Most of them had never seen anything this moving, even during the hardest rescues. Katya sat across from the family, not taking her eyes off the reunion. To her, that powerful scene of pure, motherly love felt holy. "She doesn't think about herself at all," Katya whispered. "Only about her babies. No matter how ruined the world around you is, a mother is always home." The team even started a small fire to keep everyone warm. For the first time in 30 long hours, the kittens drank their fill of their mom's milk and fell fast asleep next to her. The mother cat squeezed her eyes shut with happiness, her breathing calm for the first time in days. Slowly, neighbors from all around gathered at the warehouse. Someone brought a basket, someone else, a blanket, someone else, cat food. Hearing about the brave midnight rescue, people began asking if they could give a kitten a home. Katya could hardly hide her smile as suddenly, each kitten had found caring, loving hands. And the mother cat, too, she found a new home with a woman from the neighborhood who fell in love with her brave heart right away. saying goodbye to the rescuers. Katya, the mother cat, and the kittens seemed to be sending out their own little message of kindness to the world. Any challenge can be overcome when you have a friend, or a brave mom, by your side. Alexei and his team drove off smiling, knowing that now, everyone really did have a chance at happiness. If you liked this amazing story of true friendship, love, and helping each other, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. More heartwarming and exciting stories are coming your way soon. And this night will keep warming the hearts of the heroes and all these little rescued kittens for a long, long time.